Hello, everyone. Today is an unusual story. The most distressing moment occurred as I watched her ready for her date, as she dressed in an unusual dress and high. Heels, each stroke of makeup and twist of her hair felt like a betrayal. I had never seen her wear anything before this. Change was for Robert, not me. Her spouse, her boss. It sparked a powerful mix of betrayal, jealousy, and rage within me. While I worked relentlessly to care for our family, she was making herself attractive to a man outside of our marriage. It was also confusing. Our marriage had been nothing but blissful. Teresa had always been attentive and loving, giving me no reason to mistrust her commitment. 20 years together had established a foundation of trust, and I never believed she would go Robert, the managing partner of her. Legal business had paid her undue attention during a corporate dinner. A month prior, it was a smirk he shot me. After a dance with my wife, which triggered warning bells when I confronted Teresa, her defense of him just raised my doubts. Suddenly, the late meetings and missing lunches took on new significance, encouraging me to look into more the more I thought about the matter. The more angry I became. Teresa served as Robert's personal assistant, serving under him at a famous law company where he was the managing partner. Robert epitomized the image of success, flaunting his fortune. With flashy automobiles, costly jewelry, and a young trophy bride named Wendy, whom he sought after divorcing his wife of 20 years. His tender eye for mocking others was obvious. I recall well an incident at a social function in which he disparaged my employment, despite the fact that my job involved selling screws and fasteners to big retail chains. Far from glamorous, it provided a decent living, paying me upwards of $200,000 per year. This income enabled my family to live a meaningful life, including paying for our daughter Jane's college tuition and maintaining our comfortable living in a close-knit community surrounded by good friends. Although I didn't have Robert's status or make seven figures, our bliss appeared solid. At least that's what I thought. However, the night he mocked my profession in front of my wife and others, my irritation grew. His arrogance irritated me, but so did Teresa's defense of him, despite having witnessed my humiliation. "Hello, John. How are things?" "Going with the nut and bolt business. I bet you get screwed a lot," Robert said. "It must be fun to work at Home Depot every day," to which Teresa responded with laughing. The derision made my wrath boil, so I turned and went away without saying anything. Teresa, to her credit, contacted me and inquired about my sudden departure. After I aired my gripe, she tried to downplay the situation. "He's only teasing, baby. Robert enjoys joking around. Don't take anything too personally. Come back with me. He's really a wonderful guy." She pushed me to return to supper. Against my instincts, I stayed for the rest of the evening. Repressing my anxiety, I'm reflecting about that moment. I now think I may have missed warning signs. Despite my confidence and determination to be anyone's fool, I ignored my gut instincts. I understood Robert's fascination for others. He was the epitome of an alpha man, strong, attractive, and wealthy. Everyone gravitated to Teresa as his trusted, confident, and right-hand person, which added to his allure to a man like Robert. Having a younger, more attractive wife made little difference. Acquiring everything, including another man's wife, was just another conquest. Over the next week, I took prompt steps to determine whether my concerns were correct. With the introduction of 6 audio recorders and 5 video cameras, I started my plan. I secretly installed the first camera inside the bedroom smoke detector and deliberately placed the others throughout the house. Each has advanced features such as live stream capability, 8 recording channels, and wireless connectivity to a dedicated computer in the attic, all of which can be accessed remotely via a smartphone app. In addition to video surveillance, audio equipment provided an additional layer of surveillance. One was skillfully concealed behind a pen and placed discreetly near to the kitchen phone. While another found an inconspicuous location within her car, the remaining basic recording devices were tucked into 3 of her favorite purses and hidden behind her bed with this complete setup. I anticipated recording at least 90% of her talks and actions at home, despite my concerns about the forthcoming week when I would be away on sales calls. I went ahead with my preparations. Teresa treated me with affection and closeness as she always did before my overnight visits, her gestures filled with kisses and lovely words of love reassured me of our link. Her constant intimacy was a treasured quality of our relationship that never failed to inspire me. We had a wonderful night together on the night before my departure, which strengthened our bond in the midst of such affection and closeness. Concerns about her integrity arose, almost leading me to abandon my surveillance strategy. However, I fought the urge and went ahead with my original plan, starting my 2-night excursion. With a farewell kiss, I got on the road by 6 p.m., ready myself for the 3-hour drive to the motel. While driving to the motel, I found myself reflecting on the events of the previous 6 months, looking for any minor differences aside from the disturbing interactions with her boss. Those 2 scenes are imprinted in my memory, marked by his sneer and attempts to mock me. Nothing else jumped out as I recognized the absurdity of my paranoia. A sardonic smile spread across my face when I arrived at the hotel. I quickly checked into my room and nestled onto the sumptuous king-size bed with my laptop in hand after reviewing business emails. I relaxed. I entered the computer in my attic, remotely ready to analyze the footage from the previous 3 hours. While I expected to uncover nothing significant, I wanted to test the remote access system's performance by speeding up video playback to 3 times the typical pace. I scrolled through till my wife's form appeared in our bedroom. Setting the speed back to normal, I relished in watching my lovely, enticing wife make a phone call. What took me off guard was the unexpected phone chat she had with Roberton hour after I left, as the video broadcast her side of the conversation. I listened closely, unable to dispel the discomfort that had settled within me. Her side of the talk. With Roberthello, my love, he's gone, and I'm alone once more. Yes, for 2 nights. This time, could you accompany me? But won't your husband worry where you're going? That's wonderful. Could you spend the night with me? I long to wake up by your side, absolutely without a question. What time will you arrive? All right, see you shortly. I admire you, dear. I sat there startled. We just spent an intense night together, and she'd constantly expressed her love for me, yet only an hour later she's inviting him over to spend the night. Who was this woman? How could she demonstrate such profound care for me just to betray me moments later? Was he actually coming over tonight? Part 2. Now let us return to the beginning of the story. For the following hour, I watched via my equipment as my once loving wife prepared to meet with her boyfriend. Witnessing her shower, don lingerie, slip into shoes, methodically applying lipstick and fussing over her hair for half an hour was a torturous sight. While I had always admired her beauty, the unpleasant truth was that she had never dressed herself in such a way for me. Rage and envy rose as I saw she was methodically preparing for Robert, not her loyal spouse. The reality of the situation was difficult to grasp. Was Robert indeed on his way tonight, or was this all a misunderstanding? The lingering doubt was quickly solved a few minutes later. The doorbell rang, displaying Robert's adversary as filmed by the video camera. In real time, Robert's audacious entrance into my home and his shameless kiss with Teresa in front of the camera triggered my first round of nausea that evening. You look amazing in that dress, babe. I can't wait to get it off and spend the night with you, he remarked, his wanes grin locked on Teresa. Their exchange infuriated me, but it quickly turned into tremendous grief as I watched Teresa took his hand and led him upstairs too. Her bedroom the sorrow grew as I witnessed behaviors she had never lavished on me tinged with jealousy, hatred and indignation after a second round of retching into the trash can I spent the next hour observing and listening to their interactions, though I felt my marriage was permanently broken, and that I should have distanced myself. Their talk proved to be the most agonizing portion of that dreadful night. As they lay entangled, Ashley started the topic. So the tiny cook is away for a few nights. Good, you will be mine for the next 2 days. I'm thrilled you can spend the night, baby. I've wanted to wake up close to you for so long. I like being with you, Roberties. I will enjoy taking you over. And over again, all night, all hubby sweats gone. What form? Be kind, Roberty, love him. And he is a good man, then why? Are you allowing me to share your bed, Robert? You are the most amazing man I know, and I sincerely appreciate everything you do for me. But we're both married, so we should enjoy the time we have together. This makes sense. I love everything about you two. You show me more love and affection than my wife or any other woman I've known. I just adore how you make me feel, Teresa. It ached terribly since the love he spoke of was meant to be mine alone. I now knew she was sharing her love with another man. I continued to listen and observe as they hugged, kissed, and talked. Does your cuckold hubby satisfy you as much as mine does, Teresa? He is a superb lover. But no, he is not like you. You do things to me that I can't describe. I sat there, overcome with sadness and hurt, a deep sense of loss hanging heavily on me. With a heavy heart, I closed the computer, unable to face the betrayal unfolding in the privacy of my own bed, despite the fact that I had gone hours without sleep and was fighting with my rage. I knew I was in for a stormy path of agony and retribution. When I returned home, everything seemed normal. There was an atmosphere of complete love and respect. As if nothing had happened, Teresa greeted me cordially with a firm hug and lots of kisses. She behaved as if nothing had happened during my absence, however. Instead of the love I had always felt for her, I recoiled at her touch. Horrified by her tenderness summoning all of my acting abilities, I maintained a veneer of normally to the best of my ability, gathering all recordings and videos meticulously, securing copies on the cloud for backup, and creating an encrypted file on my PC. Over the next 2 weeks, I made sure that Teresa spent every moment of her time with me, leaving no room for clandestine meetings or rendezvous. I kept her occupied, eliminating the possibility of a brief liaison or late-night encounter. Her inquiries regarding my future trip fueled my suspicions, confirming their excitement for my departure. One morning, as she drove to work, I secretly overheard their chat, which confirmed my assumptions. Windsor wimpy spouse has gone out of town again. I'm not sure when I will find out. It should happen soon. Baby, armed with this knowledge, I planned a one-night excursion to a shore he would visit. While I was away, the plot began to take shape that night when we were watching a movie on TV. My adulterous wife casually asked, "Honey, when is your next trip?" Suppressing my rage, I responded in a jesting tone, "Sweetheart, are you attempting to get rid of me? Do you have a secret lover that pays you a visit while I am away?" She reacted calmly with no indication of remorse. "Do not be silly. I adore having you at home. I was hoped that your travels had slowed. No, sorry, sweetheart. The job still requires travel. Yes, next Tuesday I have an overnight vacation plan and I'll return sometime on Wednesday." She lamented with conviction, "I detest it when you leave. I hope you did not have to travel like that. I miss you so much when you're not around." Then she embraced me, kissed me passionately, and showered me with love. That made my heart throb. The realization that she showed the same affection to another guy sparked a primal wrath within me, but I kept my charade acting as if nothing was wrong, knowing that the Next week would put my plan into action on Tuesday. I prepared for my trip, and Teresa and I discussed our final love. Making session after tonight, there would be no US left as I prepared to leave. That evening, she gave me a gentle kiss, and I couldn't help but worry if she saw the sadness in my eyes as I looked at her. For the final time, her countenance flickered, leaving me unsure of what was on her thoughts. Part 3. Showtime, rather than traveling out of town, I returned to my office and parked my car, returning to my desk to work late. Was not unusual, and the few co-workers present did not question my return. Around 7:30, the video camera turned on as Robert entered my home and exchanged another fond kiss with my soon-tobe ex-wife. It was showtime using my phone. I muted the video camera and placed my cell phone in my desk drawer to avoid any potential GPS tracking during my alleged stealthy exit from the office. I retrieved the foldable electric bike from my car trunk, which has a silent electric motor capable of reaching speeds of up to 30 miles per hour and a range of 50. I put on a black hoodie and gingerly started the 12M cycle back to my place. The bike was designed to be stealthy. Its inconspicuous nature enabled me to come home unobserved in 20 minutes storing the bike discreetly at the back of the house. I entered through the large rear sliding door, ensuring that my presence went undiscovered. I listened closely to the sounds coming from the bedroom. They were engaged and unconcerned about my return. Once I had left, I took out the short-barreled shotgun and an aluminum bat that I had carefully placed in the closet. Before quietly entering the bedroom, I carefully positioned the shotgun against the wall right outside the bedroom. I gripped the bat tightly and silently turned the doorknob to the softly lit chamber. Despite their raucous lovemaking, they remained unaware of my presence. As I approached the bed with measured steps, he lay and taught my wife, completely immersed in their excitement. Without hesitation, I landed a hard hit to the side of his head. The dull thud of metal hitting flesh was the only sound. I grabbed the shotgun and turned on the lights, temporarily drowning out the cacophony of their activities as the pound 250 figure fell to the floor. In the middle of his drop, Teresa was startled awake, staring at me in shock and fear, and she yelled out, "God, no, please. No, this can't be happening. Why? Are you here? You are meant to be away. Oh, you vile swine. Perhaps the better question is why you are now sharing our bed with another man. Stay silent and listen." The invader, now semi-conscious, was slumped against the wall. Blood oozed from a 6-in wound caused by the cruel metal bat. I watched as he gradually recovered consciousness. His eyes met mine, full of fury and disbelief. "Damn it." Stung. "Why do you do this, man?" he grumbled and rubbed his sore head. "Are you kidding me? You expect me not to respond if you sleep with my wife in our bed?" I replied. My voice was angry. "What are you planning to do?" he asked. His fear was evident when he pointed the rifle I had at him. "Are you worried? Big guy, are you afraid this thug will hurt you? I know you two have been having an affair behind my back, and tonight I'm going to take my retribution. I am going to murder you, Robert. You are going to die today." I spat contempt, which dripped from every word. "Burr, everything you have worked for will be gone. I hope it was worthwhile, dude. If you kill me, you will spend the rest of your life in jail," he objected, desperation clear in his tone. "Screw it, we are all going to die today. How about the—" I mocked them, loving their dread even. Though I had no intention of harming anyone, I enjoyed seeing them squirm. I proceeded to play the part, heightening the tension. Teresa crumpled into a ball, sobbing furiously. "Baby, please don't do something stupid. I love you. I really do. Put down the rifle and let's talk about this." she implored, her voice shaking with terror, and smirking wickedly. I pointed the rifle at her and hissed, "Shut up, cheater. This is all occurring because you couldn't keep it within your pants. You are responsible for whatever happens tonight. Check out your woozy sweetie, he had just pissed himself. You looked like a tiny boy, not truly a man, are we all you? Need to wear diapers," I ranted, letting them know I was crazy and unpredictable. It was a tactic to keep them on edge too, make them believe they needed to call me in order to survive. The special shelves placed into the shotgun had a mixture of 25% salt and 75% rice and capsicum, which are typically used in pepper sprays. My objective was not to take a life, but to cause severe anguish to the disgusting individual I had no wish to end up in prison for murder. Instead, I wanted to instill a lasting terror and indelible memory in each of them. After regaining his composure following the punch to his head, Big Robert mistakenly attempted to lunge at me in an attempt to disarm me. Playing into my hands, I seized the opportunity, made a deliberate step back, and fired the first bullet between his legs. The explosion echoed loudly, but his screams drowned out all other sounds. A thick cloud of capsicum encompassed him, preventing him from seeing or breathing without gasping for air, and the burning pain consumed him like never before. I was taken aback by the harm the blast caused to his reproductive organ. Even a non-lethal missile fired at such close range ripped through flesh and peppered the surrounding skin, inflicting incredible pain and profuse bleeding. I explained the idea, giving him a solid kick to get his attention. I addressed my insults at both him and my soon-to-be ex-wife. "Listen up, you scumbag, and to my cheating wife. I will be departing shortly, and you too will rush this miserable example of a man to the emergency hospital before he bleeds out. You will not contact 911 instead. You will take him to the hospital in your automobile. You will keep this incident between ourselves and say that I had no knowledge of your affair. If any of you implicates me or indicates my knowledge of your adultery." The film's audio recordings and images I've gathered will be shared with Asheville's wife and your partners at the firm. In addition, a link to a website with almost 2 hours of incriminating material will be sent to everyone in your circles. You can tell the police whatever story you choose, but my name must not be used, and you must maintain that I was completely uninformed of the scenario as a whole. You will not terminate my future ex-wife's employment. She'll need the employment after our divorce is official if you try to retaliate against me or if she refuses to accept the divorce settlement. I will unleash everything at that time. The consequences will not be discriminatory, and I will expose everyone, including myself if necessary. You both caused pain on me, and now it is my turn. Bring him to the hospital before he bleeds out. Remember my terms. I exited in the same way I had entered, making sure the latch was safe before leaving. I packed the bat and revolver into a duffel bag and threw them over my shoulder. I moved quietly and inconspicuously out of the area. I rode my bike back to my office. I disposed of the bat and gun in separate spots in the river before returning, and I ditched the surgical gloves I was wearing when I returned to my office. I discreetly stashed the bike in my car and returned to my job. By 9 o'clock, I said goodbye to several of the 8 employees who were still working late into the night. To all appearances, my vehicle never left the parking lot, and I stayed at my desk all evening in case of an accusation. It would be their word versus mine, with no actual evidence to back up their assertions by the time I arrived home. This afternoon, anarchy had broken out. Robert had surgery to replace his damaged reproductive organs. A team of surgeons had to painstakingly recreate what was only a tenth of its original size. He had 18 stitches on his shaved head as a result of the concussion incurred after the incident, according to his narrative. The last thing he remembered was approaching his personal assistant's home with some paperwork before waking up in the hospital. He claimed to have no recall of encountering anyone or being struck. Given the gravity of his predicament, he sensibly chose to remain silent. Teresa, distraught, kept quiet about the incident. Recognizing the power I wielded over him and his career, her sole claim was that she heard the gunshot and discovered Robert laying injured outdoors, causing her to transport him to the hospital without waiting for an ambulance. Neither could explain why Robert was discovered naked. And despite their unwavering commitment to their own explanations, Robert's wife remained skeptical, posing a huge threat to his future. I spent the afternoon disassembling the surveillance equipment, sending the data to an encrypted cloud server, and disposing of it. Any evidence linking me to their affair was now safely saved in the cloud beyond. Anyone's reach. Teresa entered the living room around 6 p.m. and found me seated with a bottle of my finest whiskey. I stayed mute as she sat across from me on the couch. Seeing her in such a way broke her heart. I couldn't help but feel a flash of sympathy as tears streamed down her cheeks. She began speaking. Her voice is quivering with emotion. John, I appreciate what you witnessed was awful, but you must trust me when I tell I was not in love with him. I remember how it looked when I stated it must have hurt even in those moments with him. My thoughts were about you. I spoke to you inside me. Every move was meant for you, sweetie. When you were gone, the loneliness was extra. I ating Robert brought some short solace. Please, you must believe me. Her statement left me stunned as I grappled with the nonsensical justification she provided. Apparently, she had been intimate with him while thinking of me despite her remarks. Doubts remained. Trust was irreparably damaged, Teresa, I have heard your appeal, but I am unable to wipe what I observed from my memory, even if those words of affection were meant for me. I can't remove the sensation that they belong to Robert. Teresa, it's over. Your boss's treachery and your infidelity have ruined 20 years of what I thought was happiness, and the consequences of your actions will haunt us for the rest of our lives. Thank you for the sorrow and pain you have caused me. It is a souvenir, I answered fiercely. What will happen now? She inquired. Tears continued to fall down her cheeks. Well, you and I are done. I will never understand how you can betray me in this way, or why it is a burden I will endure endlessly. I will not reveal your infidelity as promised, but forgiveness is beyond grasp, Janet. And your parents will have no idea that they have as a mother and daughter. I will let you explain why we are getting divorced, but I warn you not to make myself the evil guy if you do it. Will not end well, as I will make it clear to everyone that you are nothing more than a cheating adulteress. I'm selling the house, so you'll need to find somewhere else to stay in the interim, because you are the one who screwed it up. You need to leave. I am not asking that is what you will do. Please let me know where you want the divorce paper sent. Sign the paperwork, and don't fight the divorce. It will be difficult for both you and your partner. She strained to talk through her tears. He is not my boyfriend, and I do not love him. Can't we figure it out? Is there something we can do? I understand it's too late after I've finished, but I cannot live without you, and I'm willing to do anything to keep us together. I've never wanted to lose you. Please do not abandon me. You know, Teresa, if it was simply about you sleeping with him, we could have gone to counseling or worked through a breakup, but it ended when I saw you do things to him that you would never do to me. It stole my breath away when you told him you'd never do that for me. Yes, I heard What you said, that alone eliminated any possibility of reconciliation. But what ultimately crushed my feelings for you was how you shared with him a love that was just meant for me. Your remarks to him shattered us, and everything I ever felt for you. As a result, I will never be able to trust you or your love again. Your treason is unforgivable, and I don't want anything more to do with you. You'll be gone from my life permanently after the divorce is official, and as for that thug, if he ever crosses me again, I will make both of you regret it. Despite hours of appealing for forgiveness, she fled the next morning and sought refuge with her parents until the house sold. Over the next week, the police interrogated me. Hoping to get a confession under the supervision of my attorney, we made it plain that without evidence linking me to the incident, I would not participate. Without a warrant, they called off their investigation because there was no proof to back up their claims, and I had a solid alibi. The crime was eventually identified as a random burglary and an assault. Teresa and her family were constantly pleading for reconciliation. They expressed her love for me and appealed for forgiveness, offering counseling and other solutions. Nonetheless, I disregarded their calls and refused to hear their appeals. I changed my phone number and cut all ties with them. Losing her ripped me apart. Every moment without her felt terrible. However, the memories of her betrayal and how she poured her love on another guy became overpowering. Teresa, a 42-year-old single mother, now lives in a small one-bedroom apartment and relies exclusively on her income. She no longer has the comfortable life she previously knew. Her daughter and family have withdrawn themselves, believing her responsible for the end of our marriage. Teresa felt alienated and abandoned by Robert, who was more concerned with saving his own marriage at work. Robert's attitude of her deteriorated as he shifted responsibility onto her for his personal and marital problems. He was unable to continue working with her and relegated her to the administration department with no pay raise. Her once prestigious job working directly with one of the partners was taken away, and suspicions circulated about her previous relationship with Robert, resulting in abuse from her co-workers. Teresa was now tied to a tedious and uninspiring work with no opportunities for growth, and she was on the verge of depression with no friends to turn to, with a failing marriage and a family who blamed her for the divorce. She fell deeper into depression. She grieved alone every night, wishing for John. With all of her being, her sadness was relentless, and her thoughts were consumed with remorse and loss. Despite Janet's efforts to help her mother, Teresa's physical decline continued as she neglected her health. She resorted to alcohol to mask the pain and refused to care for herself, insisting that she had no reason to prioritize her well-being. Without Sean, when Janet sought guidance from her father, he sympathized with Teresa's situation, but was unable to overcome the treachery that ended all relations with her. Meanwhile, Wendy put together the facts and exacted retribution on Robert, relegating him to one of the guest rooms and punishing him severely for his infidelity. Wendy embraced her newfound independence and pursued a succession of romances with younger men, keeping Robert around primarily to pay the expenses, although they appeared to be united in public. They had different lives. Robert's actions had permanently altered the direction of his life, rendering him unable to find love or peace with another woman. The weight of that key moment when his world transformed due to his desire for another man's wife would haunt him forever. Despite his vehement enmity toward me, several months passed without incident. However, fate had other plans. Later that year, following a night out with my colleagues, I was attacked and violently assaulted outside a club, receiving a horrific beating before my companions intervened. The attackers escaped before the police arrived, leaving me hospitalized with shattered ribs in 20 stitches. It was clear that They had a fatal purpose, and if it hadn't been for my companion's prompt intervention, their violent onslaught could have killed me. Robert's retaliation was obvious to me, and I wasn't surprised. 6 weeks passed, and when I recovered, I decided to confront Robert. Calling his office, I asked to speak with Mr. Phillips. "Mr. Phillips, please," I addressed his secretary. "I apologize, Hune's currently attending a meeting. Can I take a message?" She replied, "Yes. Please tell him to meet me at the French deli across the street at 1 p.m. this Friday." I gave instructions. "I'm afraid I don't book appointments for Mr. Phillips," she explained. "Simply relay the message right." It down 1 p.m. Friday, French deli, be alone. John, simply hand him the note, and he will comprehend its significance, thank you. I finished part 4 Friday. Lunch, seated at a table with a good view of the entrance, I watched Robert enter the French deli by himself, his gait fixed on mine. As he approached the table, sit down, I instructed my tone to be forceful. "What do you want?" He spit. I ignored his rage and began, "Thank you for coming today. Your associates did a thorough job on me. Unfortunately for you, they didn't quite finish it by disregarding my warning. Against seeking vengeance on me or my family, you have left me with no choice except to take action." I handed him a folded piece of paper and proceeded, "Here's a link to a website created particularly for you, Robert. Don't bother trying to shut it down. It operates from Syria with 3 redundant servers scattered over multiple locations. It is untraceable, and even if you find the first server, the chances of finding the other 2 are close to none. You're in terrible trouble, and I have all the cards. That is the website address. Take a peek when you return to the office." I purposefully hid Teresa's face because she should not have to bear the consequences of your actions. She has already endured enough. After you've reviewed the web page, I'd like you to consider how your colleagues at the firm will regard your activities, how your wife will react, as well as the impact on your children, friends, and relatives if they discover the 2 hours of incriminating tape. I aim to share these films on several major networks. Along with your name, occupation, address, and phone number, Robert's rage simmers. Below the surface, you have already shattered my life, and I will never be the same, particularly sexually. Stop this madness, or you will regret it, Mr. Phillips. That is exactly why we are here today. I am come to put an end to this. You took away the most important item in my life. My wife you have ruined. Our 20-year marriage, and I will not let you go away undamaged. I'm willing to face any consequences you throw at me, because I fully want to seek revenge for the thrashing your associates perpetrated on me. All right, calm down. What are your terms for resolving this situation? Carlin interjected. I made it clear that I had 2 non-negotiable demands. First, you must refrain from any actions of retaliation against me or anyone in my network, including Teresa. Second, you must deposit $1 million into this account by the end of business on Friday if the monies are not transmitted. By Friday at 9:00 p.m., I shall take appropriate action. I know your financial wealth and what I may possibly get through legal means, so consider this modest request as a gesture of goodwill. And how can I be sure you won't ruin me anyway? Robertier asked Worley. You want my word, and you will have to trust me on that. But let me be clear, if you fail to comply, there's a 100% certainty that this website will become infamous by Saturday morning, by the way. Do you know how I discovered your affair with my wife? I paused, letting the question linger in the air. No, I was curious about that, Robert admitted. It was at your last company dinner I caught. That smug smirk on your face after that dance with my wife, your arrogant grin set off alarm bells, prompting me to dig deeper into your affair and ultimately seal your fate. You were one of the most conceited individuals I've ever encountered, and I hope you endure the consequences for the rest of your days for what you've done to my once happy Marriage epilogue. The funds were transferred, and we proceeded to sell the house, dividing the assets between us. Teresa would have enough financial stability to lead a comfortable life, provided she continued working or found another partner. As part of our agreement, Robert ensured her employment, but their relationship remained strictly professional. Teresa never remarried, seldom ventured into the dating scene, and lived with the weight of the pain she had inflicted upon of us, losing her marriage and the love of the man she envisioned spending her life with left her isolated and despondent. She passed away before reaching her 50th birthday. A shattered and melancholic soul, only her daughter Janet attended the somber occasion of scattering her ashes. Meanwhile, I carried on working for a few more years before retiring to a serene oceanfront town I found companionship in. A kind-hearted woman who stimulated me intellectually, yet I never managed to replace the unique love Teresa once bestowed upon me. We never communicated again, and my knowledge of her fate came solely from Janet, whom I cherished dearly, although we conversed daily and maintained a strong bond. Janet seldom broached the topic of her mother, aware of the enduring pain I harbored, while Teresa's passing brought a sense of closure. It also served as a poignant reminder of the deep wounds I carried with me. Thank you for spending the time to hear today's story. If you enjoyed this essay, please like it and subscribe if you haven't already. If you have a tale to share regarding your or someone else's circumstance, please do not hesitate to contact me. Take care.